Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga Rai ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki, Shri Shri Krishna Kanaya ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki, Gaur Premanandi, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai, all gloriously assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Haribol, Om Shri Vidaya, Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Niti Namane, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Prachadine, Nirvasesha Sunyavadi, Pastachari Shatari. Mokam Karoti Vachalam Pongam Garite Vim, Yat Kripatam Abandande Shivarandi Nataranam. Nana Shastra Vicharanayaka Nipano Sadharma Samstapako Nana Shastra Vicharanayaka Nipano Sadharma Samstapako Lokanamita Karino Kapubane Manyo Sharanya Karo Lokanamita Karino Sevugane Manyo Sharanya Karo Radha Krishna Padara Vindavajana Nandena Namataliko Radha Krishna Aravinda Vajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Gujago Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghusago Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghusago Shri Jiva Gopalako. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So this evening, Ekadashi today, as I guess you're aware, and it's a very good day for devotional practices. So we'll read something from, as Prabhupada one time said, the Bible of our Krishna consciousness movement. You might think, well, that's the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada especially referred the Nectar of Devotion when he made that statement. And many of you have read. How many of you have read the whole Nectar of Devotion? Who's read the entire book, beginning to end? Not just the first 19 chapters. Many times devotees, they just read the first 19 chapters. If you study Bhakti Shastri, you'll just study the first 19 chapters. But that is the Eastern division of the great ocean of devotion, of nectar devotion. If you look, how many of you, hands up if you've got the nectar of devotion at home. Some of you have not got the nectar of devotion at home. Is someone translating for Purna Shakti? A little bit, good. Thank you for coming. We have it in Tamil maybe, I'm not sure if you have it here in Tamil. But I'm pretty sure it's been translated into Tamil. And it's important to read the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti, Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Very deep title to the book. It deals with topics that are practically unknown, unheard of to the world. Maybe some of the basic introductory statements are somewhat familiar, but descriptions of Krishna's unlimited qualities, descriptions of ecstatic symptoms and the causes of those symptoms, varieties of ecstatic symptoms, rasa, unheard of, practically speaking, or let's say, out of bounds to most, what it really means. We see, let me just check this, just give me a second. I'm sorry, any time to prepare, I just got things ready to prepare, but I didn't prepare and I didn't get things ready. So to speak, just the book and the computer, but the actual text. One thing's here it is. So, let's see, what's the end? If we look at the meaning of this word, rasa. I don't know if I'll find it so easily because I just couldn't stay awake. I was just about to prepare and I fell into deep sleep. I didn't get round to actually. Well, we just have to see if it comes up in the course of our discussion because it's not manifesting here at the moment. But generally, the definition, there is a dictionary definition of rasa, describing its actual meaning. Usually it's described like a mellow or relationship, but which is very sweet. If we take it literally, rasa is like the juice within a fruit. We have a fruit, and it's because of the juice, the taste of that fruit which makes the fruit what it is. The colour may attract us, the texture may attract us, but the essence is the rasa, or the juice, the mellow taste. Sweet, whatever the taste is the juice that we're looking for. So in any relationship, rasa also means relationship, we're looking for a taste, whether it's boys and girls, whatever relationship it is, we're trying to satisfy our taste. We're looking for a sweet taste. So bhakti rasa refers to the taste of bhakti, the sweet mellow taste of bhakti. And it's not just a taste, it is unlimited. Unlike the taste within this material world, if you taste the mango, you do not taste the pineapple. But in the fruit of bhakti, all varieties of taste are available. Unlimited fruits. Whatever one's, let's say, spontaneous, one's natural, spontaneous attraction is, one's initiative, whatever it is, in the tree of bhakti, the appropriate fruit is available. One of the differences, unlimited variety of tastes, bhakti. Bhakti, of course, itself infers devotion, service. Service to who? Ultimate, absolute sense of the term, it's service to Krishna, Krishna Bhakti. Bhakti has its origins in that, solely in that relationship with Krishna. It may be perverted and the principle directed towards others, but ultimately real bhakti only is in relationship with Krishna, nobody else. Not even real bhakti, because you won't find. Bhakti is the you could say, the heart. It contains the entirety of all rasas. Real bhakti. So to say bhakti to Lord Vishnu is not complete, because the rasas are not complete. Maybe a little bit of reverential service and neutrality is there, but not in completeness. Only in relationship with Krishna are the rasas fully manifested, or the tastes fully available. So devotion, bhakti, rasa, the taste, but it's simple terminology. The taste, or the mellow, sweet mellow taste that one experiences in bhakti, in relationship. Bhakti, rasa. Amrita has several meanings. Of course, sometimes it means eternal. It also means nectarian, amrita. The blissful, nectarian, sweet taste of bhakti, of devotional service. Sindhu, bhakti rasa amrita, sindhu means ocean. So that great ocean, the great devotional service is a great ocean in which there are unlimited fruits and tastes, eternal taste, not like in the material world where the taste is temporary, but eternal taste in relationship with Krishna. So this nectar devotion uncovers, that's why it's called a great science. It's like a discovery of that ocean and the fruits within that ocean. Nectar Devotion is a guidebook to help steer us towards that ocean, to enter into that ocean, and to actually awaken within our hearts pure devotional service. This is Nectar Devotion. Srila Prabhupada, upon his initiation when was he initiated? Who knows when Srila Prabhupada was initiated? I don't mean the date exactly. Which year?
1934.
Good. Not too bad. You're three quarters correct. 193 is correct. So now you've got 6 other choices, 7, 8 other choices, I suppose, of which you can dismiss 3, 37, 38, 39, because his Guru Maharaj was not present. So you are down to 5 other choices. Which year? Without looking it up on your mobile phone, sunshine. Your Google will go back to Godhead. Which year did Srila Prabhupada take initiation? Now you're down to 4 choices. 5 choices. Let's count 1936 out, so now you're down to 4. That's a pretty good one. 1930. There is even one time when Prabhupada says 32, but usually he says 33. There's no one seems to know the exact day or date of the year, unfortunately. Where was he initiated? Where? In Todu? Obviously not. So that's one possibility out. And it wasn't Hamilton either, so that's 2. And neither was it Manila, so that's 3 out. Not even Vrindavan. That might have been closer to the mark. Well, you can assume that it's in India, since you may know that Srila Prabhupada never left India till 1965. He never went. So, unless they had Zoom in those days, which I don't think they did, it would have been in India, right? Allahabad. You got it. Allahabad. Well done. It takes a Hunter Valley man to get that one. But you're not born in the Hunter Valley, are you?
I was born in Sydney.
Sydney, down the line. Down the line. Yes, in Allahabad. And what happened in Allahabad? What happens in Allahabad? Every year, in fact, but every 12 years especially, pardon? The Kumbh Mela. The Maha Kumbh Mela. Millions of pilgrims come for this great event. Every year there is a big festival, but every 12 years extremely big. And Prabhupada he spent a lot of his life actually, I think second only to Calcutta. He spent more time in Allahabad than anywhere else. Many years of his business life were spent in Allahabad. Many years. And it was there that he got initiated, in the Gaudiya Math. He found a location, I believe, where it was then. And that's also known as Allahabad as another famous name. It's 2 names, 3 names actually. Prayag. And Prabhupada's pharmacy, he was a pharmacist. He was selling drugs. When Prabhupada started his mission in the West, he asked one of his disciples, "What were you doing before you came to me?" The devotee said, "I was a drug dealer." He said, "Oh really? I was also a drug dealer." So I don't know if Prabhupada understood what they mean by saying a drug dealer, or they understood what Prabhupada meant when he said a drug dealer. But he may, I don't know, they got the impression that Swamiji was a drug dealer, selling marijuana, selling whatever, heroin. What? Guru Maharaj, Swamiji was a drug dealer? Really? Can't believe it. And then, of course, they queried further. They said he had a pharmacist. So was a drug dealer. Same thing, selling drugs. One is legal, one is illegal, that's all. Huh? They're also selling all these things in different ways. But it's legal. They're prescribed, bona fide. The other one's illegal, illicit. So, anyway, Prabhupada had his pharmacy. And it's also that, of course, not the city exactly, but the junction is known as, where the rivers join. Pardon? Triveni. The three most prominent, I mean, many prominent rivers, but generally they're known as the three most prominent holy rivers in India join at that point. And what are those three rivers? Ganges, Jamuna and Saraswati. The Jamuna and the Ganga are very clear. They're physically visible on the surface. They said the Saraswati is flowing underground, joins underground. And that's considered to be one of the most holy spots. And people take their bath there by the million. Liberation. They want liberation. Well, when Prabhupada took initiation, his spiritual master gave him instruction. Generally, when you take initiation, that's when you get one's, specific instruction. Traditionally. Now, of course, we get our instructions from day one and continually throughout our lives. It's not necessarily just one instruction from the Guru at initiation. But Prabhupada received a specific instruction at initiation. He received specific instructions before, also, and after. But at initiation in Allahabad, he received the instructions to daily read the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. Prabhupada shortens it simply as Nectar of Devotion. Very easy title. He didn't use the long definition of the word, we could say. And in the preface of this book, Srila Prabhupada describes the characteristics in some ways of these various items, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It breaks down what it means and what its result is, and that you won't find this in any other real script. Nectar of Devotion, or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, was compiled by who? Pardon? Rupa Goswami. Very, very good. Well done. And it's compiled, of course, in Sanskrit verse. And then our acharyas, and particularly Prabhupada, has presented it in summary form in one sense, extensive summary, I must say. In one sense longer than the Sanskrit, but there are many commentaries on the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by various acharyas. So Srila Prabhupada has taken those and put it into English version without generally referring directly to the verses, but there's around about 2,100 verses in Sanskrit comprise the Nectar of Devotion. And if we look towards the end of this great text, you'll see the breakdown. This is just a little overview here. You don't have a book in front of you. If anyone wants their own copy, by the way, we have copies available on the book table at the back there, and maybe here also. It's really one of those books you should keep. It's like a Bible. Why it's like a Bible? Well, Prabhupada uses that like it's a guidebook. He would say, the guide, like a map book, guidebook, to help us to reach the goal. And the goal of our devotional service is, of course, the love of God. Huh? So that's what Nectar Devotion does. Prabhupada describes many times in the introduction and the preface that this is the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. He mentions different things, but primarily it's to awaken our love of God. There are four, just like Prabhupada says, like with every ocean, there are four sides to every ocean. As there are, even here we have east, west, north and south. Four divisions, primarily. Within those, there are many subdivisions. They're described as waves, different waves. So the Eastern Division is the first section, which deals primarily with the practice of sadhana, bhakti, both in the stage of two. There are two, there's like a leaf, and there are two sides to the leaf. One side, two kinds, so let's put it easier terminology. There are two lines of sadhana. What are those two lines? Sadhana bhakti. What does sadhana mean? What is sadhana? Pardon? Devotional practice, engaging our senses in a regulated way to achieve a particular goal. In this case, the goal is pure devotional service and ultimately love of God. Learning how to engage our mind, engage our senses in a favorable way. Do you want to share, Ramesh Prabhu? Do you want to share? You sure? Okay. A favorable way. We don't just concoct how to engage our senses, but we find out. Now, in the introduction, in Prabhupada's Nectar Devotion, he titles it Introduction, but that actually is the first chapter in Rupa Goswami's compilation. What is said to be the introduction in here is the first chapter of his book, which is basically a description, a breakdown of what is pure devotional service, primarily. And probably the most famous verse of the Nectar Devotion is quoted. It's an essential verse to learn, which we'll look at in a few minutes. But first we'll look at the breakdown of the book. So the Eastern Division mainly deals, as an overview also, I just mention what it is. The general overview is called Bhagavat Bhakti Veda, which means varieties of devotional service. Varieties. And it does cover those two aspects. What are those two aspects? Devotional service in sadhana, two kinds of sadhana. Vaidhi. What is Vaidhi? Pardon? Regulated. Any more than that? Regulation. We know how much regulation is valuable in any walk of life, really, but particularly in devotional service. Regulated devotional service is said to be, the process of cleansing the heart and awakening our dormant love. Regulation. Krishna himself also said, regulation and detachment are the means of conquering the mind. So what else does it mean, Vaidhi? Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. This is one type of sadhana, or engaging of our senses in devotional service. What does it mean then? What another meaning of Vaidhi? Regulated is certain one. Regulated by what? You may regulate your life according to your job, for instance, right? Many people do. You have to go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. You can't turn up at 10 o'clock and say, I was tired. You can, but it won't last very long. Instead of tired, you'll be hired. No, you'll be fired. You'll be hired, tired, and fired. So, regulation. The birds are regulated. What regulates them? They get up pretty much the same time and go to bed pretty much the same time, isn't it? They even mate at the same time, more or less. They're regulated by another force, isn't it? Regulated by nature. They're driven by their nature. They're regulated by nature. They have no thought about it. Well, wait a minute, I'm going to stay up late tonight. I'm going to stay up late tonight and have some fun out there. No one else is around. I'm going to have real fun. All the other birds are fast asleep. I'm going to really have a ball of a time tonight. I'm going to be the only one. I'm the only bird. They don't think like that, you know. Maybe exceptions over there always, but generally they don't, huh? Some animals are not as regulated as others. Maybe dogs are not always so regulated. But they're regulated nonetheless by their nature. Others are regulated by their occupation, isn't it? Others are regulated by their drive to achieve something, or irregulated, whatever the case may be. But is that the devotee? What is a devotee's, let's say, an incentive for regulation? What is the force behind it? That's, it could just be summarized by that very line. The instructions of the spiritual master. But generally it's said by? No. What's the force behind why we're regulated? That may be the purpose of regulation, but not the force behind it. So, who said that? Saradia said that? Who said that? The order of the spiritual master. So that's true. That could be said to be complete in itself. But generally it's said to be the order of the scriptures. Directive. There may not be an order of the spiritual master directly. So the order of the scriptures, the direction of the scripture, it's a rule. Everyone's ruled by something which determines their regulation or irregulation or whatever it is. But there's a rule there. So we follow the scriptural injunctions according to one's position and regulate. Why do you get up at 4 o'clock? Well, it is more precise. It is the order of the spiritual master. But ultimately it's a scriptural injunction. Everything we do is based on that principle. It's regulated. Of course, we have our free will. We may not follow that, or we may follow some and not some. And we may we may change it. We can do all sorts of things. But real Vaidhi sadhana bhakti is to follow the rule. It's regulated. It's controlled. It's kind of, other people may be regulated by force. It's a kind of force. Huh? It's a kind of force. As we mentioned this morning, Shastra and Shastra. A Shastra is forced by weapons. You're forced by law to do certain things. That's another form of regulation. You have no choice. Get arrested if you don't follow the law. So there's the Shastra, the scriptures, which are the same principle. If you don't follow them, then you'll be lost. You'll be lost on the path. So to follow the rules and regulations is sadhana, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Now that isn't, it's because, why do we do it? It's not because we have love of Krishna. It is related to that, but it's not directly because we have love of Krishna. In loving affairs, there may be regulation, there may not. In loving affairs, there is no binding to rules as such. They may or may not be applied. Love overrides everything. But in the practice of sadhana, sadhana bhakti, pure love has not arisen. It may be rising, but it's not arisen. So that aspect is not there. What's the other line of sadhana bhakti? Pardon? Yeah, raganuga. What is raga and anuga? Anuga is following the mood of raga. The mood of those who are called about Nectar devotion describes them. There's major editorial mistakes in the Nectar of devotion, major in this regards. But they're called ragatmikas. Ragatmikas are who? Who are the ragatmikas? We follow in the footsteps of the ragatmikas. Who are the ragatmikas? The gopis are certainly ragatmikas, but what's the general term? It could be that's specific. Ragatmikas are? Pardon? Those who have pure love. They're the Lord's eternal associates. Others may come, they may follow in the footsteps, but the real ragatmikas, they never come under the influence of the material nature. They are eternally situated in one of the rasas in relationship with Krishna. Residents of Vrindavan, eternal, who are, personifications of that particular loving exchange with Krishna, the ragatmikas. They're fixed in their raga or in their mood of service. So we're raga anuga, it means anuga, followers of those ragatmikas, in the mood of those ragatmikas. Now that doesn't come, the first division of the Nectar of devotion also deals with this limb, or this, let's say, aspect of sadhana, bhakti, called raganuga sadhana bhakti. It's practicing devotional service in the mood of the ragatmikas. Sometimes people try to imitate that and think we can do it now. But if you read the directives of Rupa Goswami, you'll see that is not the case. Unless one has become purified by Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, one is not eligible. One may hear about it, one should hear about it, one should know about it, one should know this is our aspiration. It's the practice of devotional service. It's not the goal of devotional service in of itself, but one has to come to that level of devotion in order to go further, to the other stages, which are not mentioned very much. They are mentioned also in the overview. That's why it's called Bhagavat Bhakti Veda, varieties. So then when we look at it on a bigger picture, there are three basic divisions of bhakti. Within sadhana, that's one division, there are these two major stages. But then there are three overall, there are three varieties of bhakti, of devotional. What are they? We've mentioned one, sadhana bhakti. What are the other two? What are the other two? Sadhana bhakti and? You probably know it quite well. It's just terminology or presentation you may not catch. But the other two are? Anyone like to venture a suggestion? Sadhana bhakti? Raganuga is a part of sadhana bhakti. Pardon? Prema bhakti is the highest. And within prema bhakti there are so many other levels also. But in between there is sadhana bhakti is the beginning, developing. What happens when one comes to the stage, you could say, or coming to the stage, perfecting one's devotion? Bhava. What is bhava? What is bhava? A lot of the Nectar devotion deals with bhava bhakti. Although we don't study it in Bhakti Shastri, if you go on to, I don't know if it's Bhakti Vaibhava or Bhakti Vedanta, I'm not sure. But we'll study the rest of the Nectar devotion in depth. So what is bhava bhakti? What is it? The word, it's just one word, you can say it in one word. Ecstatic devotional service. Bhava is referring to various forms of ecstasy. There are many types of ecstasy, even in the practice. See, some devotees, they are very much inclined towards regulated devotional service. There's whole sampradayas mostly emphasize only, regulated, reverential devotional service. The Sri Sampradaya Ramanuja Sampradaya is based on that. But they can also perfect their devotion. There's a form of Raganuga Bhakti there, but it's not exactly following in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan. It's not that. Their spontaneous devotion is spontaneous attraction to the regulations, not towards a mood of service. So that type of spontaneity may lead to Vaikuntha, but not beyond. It's different than the Raganuga Bhakti. Not different, but it's not exactly the same as the Raganuga Bhakti that Rupa Goswami is emphasizing in Nectar Devotion. So Raganuga means following in the footsteps of the Ragatmikas. What else does it mean? In what way? Spontaneously. We all know what spontaneity means. Like, if they don't ring the bell here, but maybe you have prasadam at 8:30. I don't know what time they serve prasadam. But as soon as the bell rings, you have a spontaneous attraction to go to wherever the prasad is being served. It's not really what we're talking about, but the principle is the same. Something you have a taste for, you're spontaneously attracted for, isn't it? You don't have to have someone preaching to you. If you're addicted to something, you don't need someone stood next to you. Oh, that's very nice. Go. You automatically want to go. They've got to hold you back. Whatever. Like a child sometimes, a child wants something. You have to hold them back, isn't it? You have to practically hold them physically. They're automatically, rightly or wrongly, they're going to go for it. They think at least they're going to get a taste from that. A spontaneous attraction for sweets or some toy or gadget or whatever it is. Or if you're into something in life, say you're into music or something, you're spontaneously attracted to that band or that type of music. Now, it's not spiritual. It's not a permanent attraction. It's called sthayi bhav. It's not a permanent attraction. It's related to that. It's temporary. But in the material world, the rasas or the relationships are all temporary. They're related to the eternal. If they didn't exist on the eternal plane, they would not exist on this platform. But they're temporary by nature, because the object of attraction is temporary. The desire to experience eternal rasa is constitutional, but we're just, as I say, looking in the wrong place to fulfill our constitutional tendency. We're looking into the material world. And consequently, it brings distress, it's temporary, it doesn't fulfill our desire for happiness either. Many differences are there between these. But the spontaneous level of Raganuga Bhakti, sadhana Bhakti that is, means that one has become purified by Vaidhi sadhana Bhakti. One has to go through the path of Vaidhi sadhana Bhakti. Regulated under the direction of Guru Shastra Sadhu, one regulates one's practices. Number of rounds, style of devotional practices to the deity. Much of the first section deals with deity worship, not directly but indirectly, as to various limbs of seva, service to the deities. And regulating one's habits, one's behavior, everything regulated. But there's not like a spontaneous attraction for a particular. There might be some degree, but then it changes after a while. You may have noticed that sometimes you're naturally, you feel really attracted towards something, and then after some years that changes. You become more attracted to something else. Even pastimes. So you ask a devotee when they join the movement, what's your favorite story in the Krishna book, for instance? If I ask you that question, what would you say, Ramesh? Your favorite story in the Krishna book? You have one? Killing of Kamsa, okay. He likes that pastime. Maybe that's a reflection of your present state of consciousness. But in 10 years' time, if we're still around to ask the question and you're still around to answer it, you may say something different. 10 years ago, you may have said something different. depending on your stage of devotion. What's yours, Mahabhadra? Favorite pastime in Krishna book?
Killing of the Agasura demon.
Well, you guys like to do a lot of killing around here. Some dangerous people here tonight. They're all killers. Killers of Agasura? Is that what you said? The killing of the Agasura demon. Ekanath? Okay, that's famous pastime. Very attractive pastime. Who else has a favorite pastime? Mananda?
Prayers of the personalized Vedas.
Pardon?
Prayers of the personalized Vedas.
Prayers of the personified Vedas. Most devotees say that when we ask this question. Their favorite chapter is the prayers of the personified Vedas. Are you joking or serious? You're joking. It's about 90 pages long of deep philosophy. Really deep. I mean, many devotees don't even read it. They just start it, read a few pages and jump over to the next chapter. Okay. Have you got a chapter which you would say that to? Or pastime? Nothing? Srinivas? Same like Ekanath. Take up Bandhu?
When Lord Brahma bewildered by while performing Krishna in the pastime with the
Interesting, huh? Brahma Vimohana Leela, huh? That used to be my favourite pastime also. I would speak on that a lot. I love that section. It meant a lot. And I wouldn't say it's not my favourite, but I wouldn't say it was my favourite either. It changes, you know. Shiva Chaitanya? Huh? Brahma, also Brahma Vimohan. That's why you want to work together. Huh? You want to bewilder each other. Megasham? Be prepared. I'm going to might call your name. Also Damodar. It's very popular, isn't it, the Damodar Leela? These two pastimes, many, are probably the most common. And note that they're really in the league in the sense of, they're spontaneous in reality, but they're primarily in the early stages of Krishna's pastimes, kind of preparing ourselves to enter into what is our relationship. Let's go to the ladies here. I don't know, I can't remember everyone's names, so I can't call on your names. I don't know, Saradia. Yes. Come on. Yes. Come on, you're enthusiastic.
When Lord Shiva took Krishna's flute and Krishna took Shiva's trident.
Is that in the Krishna book? I don't think it's in the Krishna. It's a pastime. It's a very nice pastime. But tell a chapter. Which chapter of the Krishna book do you like the most?
Actually, I've not finished all yet.
Okay, so no problem. You can think about it, and even if you've only read 2 chapters, one of them might stand out. Anybody else on the ladies' side have a favourite chapter, or a chapter which kind of sticks in your mind, which is relevant? Prema? Krishna stealing the butter. You probably had a lot of experience with your children on that one. So maybe it reminds you of your children when they were younger or something. And kids sometimes steal from the fridge in the middle of the night, pinch the cheese or whatever it is. I used to steal. Do you know what I used to steal when I was a kid? Huh? I couldn't help it. I was an addict. I used to. You don't see it much now, but when we were kids, sugar used to come in cubes. Boxes with like a small box, maybe 250 gram box, full of little tiny sugar cubes, and you drop one in your cup of tea. I didn't like tea at all. Hated it. Didn't like coffee either. Nasty taste. Tea was sickly and coffee was like, ugh. But I liked the sugar. I could only take it if I put like 8 cubes of sugar in a cup, you know. I was an addict. They used to keep a large quantity of sugar in this cupboard, boxes of sugar. I don't know why, but they did. And as much as I could, I would steal 1 box a day. On the way to school, I had to about 30 minutes walk. I would consume a whole box of sugar. So I like that one, stealing the butter. I like stealing the sweets as well. I don't know if you call that stealing. It's kind of in-house, rasa relationship, isn't it? Your parents won't call the police. Someone's stealing the sugar. It's my son. Arrest him. Usually they don't do that anyway. Maybe with money later on, but not at that stage. I don't know how many tons of sugar I've eaten in my life. I don't know if it reaches tons or what. I don't know, thousands of kilos, that's for sure. Yeah, that becomes the tons. So much for the idea that eating sugar causes diabetes. It doesn't. Not at all. Another cause. So we all have these fetishes. What about some of the other ladies? Who has a favourite pastime from Krishna book? Excuse me? Which one? Anyone here? Advent of Lord Krishna. You've only read the first chapter? Love it. You love that pastime. Why not? Why not? That pastime is, you could say, is essential to the whole Krishna book, isn't it? The advent of Lord Krishna. Beautiful. If you can remember any of these pastimes, your life is perfect. But you will find that these are not necessarily related to your eternal relationship with Krishna. I mean, other than the fact you have one as a servant. But in terms of the rasa, the detail, they may be attractive at a certain point. As the heart becomes purified, as we mature, you may become more attracted to a specific pastimes in relationship to one's raga with Krishna, one's actual relationship. In other words, you won't be very interested in hearing about the killing of the Aghasura demon. If you're feeling spontaneous attraction to serving Krishna in conjugal love, for instance. It may be compatible if you're in the mood of the gopas, the cowherd boys. That may be more compatible, but for the gopis or Mother Yasoda, it's not compatible. So a lot of the nectar devotion deals with compatibility also. And anyone here a psychologist? Anyone here seen a psychologist? For whatever reason. Some people think we should do. Psychology. Yeah? Many times people make relationships with each other, but they're not compatible. It's probably in the material world because there's nothing fixed. Sthayi means fixed. There's no sthayi bhav, there's no fixed, mood or relationship there. Changing, huh? Everything's changing, especially in Kali Yuga. Previously everyone was doing more or less the same thing their whole life. Now things are changing constantly, which changes the relationship. If not, the two are not changed simultaneous with the changes around them. But they won't change compatibly, at least. They may change, but not compatibly. So you start off, in line, then you move away because things change around. That's why there's so many breakdowns now in marriages and everything else come to that. So a lot of the nectar devotion deals with incompatible relationships and compatible ones, according to one's raga, according to one's nature or one's natural spontaneous attraction towards Krishna. It's important to find out. So you'll find there's a tremendous amount of detail given. And in one sense it's the root of psychology, of understanding people's nature and where they fit in. It's an impossible science in the material world because nobody fits in. We're all in an incompatible situation in one sense. But that's the idea, to bring about compatibility. The Varnashram system is there for that, to facilitate stability, to facilitate compatibility. But it's not safe-proof, it's still material. So nectar devotion is a science to bring us to the real platform of compatibility, unity, in relationship with Krishna. So that's the first division. It deals with all these three kinds of bhakti. Sadhana bhakti. Second one. Bhava bhakti. Third one. Prema bhakti. And at every stage this compatibility, incompatibility is there too. In other words, you don't imitate. If you imitate, it becomes incompatible. One has to find one's nature. Now you can read in the section of the first section, the eastern side of this nectar devotion, there are several chapters dealing with Raganuga Bhakti. Mostly it's Vaidhi, but there are 2 or 3 dealing with Raganuga. And the foundation of that is this subject matter of Raganuga Bhakti can be heard, but you can't enter into it until you cross the threshold. That threshold is called Anartha Nirvritti. You've heard that term? Anartha Nirvritti. What is that, Anartha Nirvritti? Pardon? Removal of. It's not unwanted habits, it's anartha. And nivritti means the removal of. The eradication or the clearance of unwanted or obstacles, things which are actually blocking our progress in spiritual life. Whatever they are. Need to be removed. They're removed by the obvious process of bhajana kriya, or practically speaking, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. But the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti has to become regulated. Nishta bhajana kriya has to be steady. It's still bhajana kriya, there are still anarthas, there are still obstacles there, but by the regulated execution, like regulated 16 rounds minimum, by these activities it can clear away misconceptions, it can clear away whatever is an obstacle towards, not to immediately reveal, but towards the path of pure devotion. When one crosses that stage, and it's not the easiest stage to cross, anartha nivritti, the effect will be that one will have no more sex desire. No more attraction for sex life. That's a pretty tall order. You could say a bit high order. But that is the stage. You're basically liberated from that before the actual raga will manifest. Otherwise it's an imitation. And our spontaneous attraction right now, we've all seen, you may be spontaneously attracted to getting up for Mangalarti, for instance. How many of you are spontaneously attracted to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning for Mangalarti? Hands up. You go mad if you miss it. Most of you go mad if you get up. Probably. No, you're not saying your father-in-law is like that, are you? Oh, you? Okay. Yeah. We're spontaneously attracted to stay asleep at that time of day, maybe. But it may happen that you do develop, but it's not really the same thing as the actual path of Raganuga. It is Raganuga in one sense, but it's for the service itself. So Prabhupada writes, you can read that in the Bhagavad Gita, that generally our first attraction is to the service itself. It's not necessarily to the object of the service, or your eternal relationship, so to speak, or a devotee in a particular. So it's within the stage of Vaidhi. It's the service itself. You may have a lot of faith, you may have an objective goal, but your attraction is towards, cooking, chanting, kirtan, reading, Mangalarti, whatever, some aspect of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, whatever it may be. Everyone's got something that they're attracted to, prasadam, something or another. Going to the holy places, it's all within the realm of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Some attraction should be there. That will impel us to move forward. Without an attraction or taste from devotional service, and this preface deals a lot with this, without a taste for an activity, you cannot persevere. So if you don't get a taste for something, it's hard to carry on. It may not be for everything. Everything we do in life has a mixture. No one lives their life in absolute taste. There's always some, like if you want to get a degree, is it all blissful? Maybe when you're going up on the stage to get your certificate, you feel like, you're the happiest person in the universe, Your heart is like, you're joyful, right? It's like the fruit of all your endeavor, but you've just spent 3, 4, 5 years of intense study, and there's been a lot of ups and downs during that period, right? You failed an exam, you're nervous as, you go through a lot of stress sometimes, high stress. But to achieve that goal, so you've got an objective, there's got to be an objective, and there's got to be a taste of some sort. You won't carry on otherwise. So many students drop out after 1 year, 2 years. They don't like what they're doing, right? You've got to have some kind of taste for what you're doing as well, even though it's stressful. The taste has to be there. Devotional service is the same thing. So it's a taste for a particular kind of service, maybe a place, maybe a deities, maybe whatever, devotee or prasadam, but there has to be a taste for something there to impel us to carry on. What's your taste for, Ekanath Prabhu? What do you get a taste for?
I like book distribution.
Books. And now many of you have experienced that. Saradia, do you agree with that? I mean, your offering was all you missed, your offering. Your offering was incredible. I was absolutely highly uplifted listening to her offering. I didn't hear every word of it, but I heard all that which was about book distribution. I didn't hear about the lemons and all this and that, but I heard about the books. So some of you do. If you have you get a taste for that, you just, all the time, you want to see how to distribute books, how to distribute books, how to distribute books. It's kind of like an addiction almost. Others have an addiction for Sankirtan. Kirtan, huh? There's kinds of kirtan. You always want to be in Kirtan. Whenever you hear the holy name, you run there to join the Kirtan. You kind of like can't miss it, Like that. This is an attraction to the service, and this is very good because the service is, it's related to Krishna. It's coming from the pure devotee. It's going to take us back to Godhead and propel us forward in our spiritual lives and destroy all the anarthas. You absorb yourself in it. So when one crosses that anartha nivritti stage of removal, eradication of all unwanted desires, obstacles on the path, what's the next stage? After anartha nivritti, what's the next stage? Nishta. Nishta means your devotional service is naturally steady. You don't have to use an alarm clock. You don't have to someone like pulling you out of the bed, pouring a bucket of water on you, preaching to you day and night to get it together. You're depressed and someone has to come along and buck you up. You're not spaced out, watching the television. I've had enough of this. I need a break. This is too much. Or whatever. You're steady. Your service. There's nothing else. You're steady. Your service finished. It may not be yet spontaneous, but at that level maybe, depending again on the individual living entity and the association which one holds. Krishna arranges association according to, he knows our heart. He arranges particular associations to help awaken your natural attraction at that stage. At this stage is association to purify our hearts. That's like you were mentioning Agasura demon or whatever demon it is, Dhenukasura, whichever, Kamsa, whatever demon it is, pastime. It's almost like that's important now to clear away a certain anartha which we have in our hearts. Krishna kills the demons in his youth. His childhood, really, mostly. Childhood, so many demons are being killed. Of course, the other positive pastimes or loving relationships are also going on simultaneously, but you have to kill the demons first. You have to get rid of the demons before you can actually, really appreciate and enter into pure devotional service in form of bhakti rasa anyway. So like that, there are different stages. Then we've already mentioned the southern side of the path of devotional service or nectar devotion is Samanya Bhagavat Bhakti Ras. Bhagavat Bhakti Ras. This refers, as we mentioned, to the various forms of ecstatic symptoms when one comes to the stage beyond even firm attraction to Krishna. There's no attraction to anyone else or anything else. In that stage, it's just like when you have a relationship with your child. Some of the mothers experience this. You feel a reflection of that ecstasy. You can't describe it practically. No one else can experience it. You're experiencing it in relation to your child. And it will have various forms of, you could say, ups and downs, but it's an intense feeling or with one's lover. And you feel so elated when you just think about them, or the anticipation of meeting them. You're eager to meet them. You can't wait your whole day. You can't concentrate at work. You have an appointment with your boyfriend, maybe early stages at least, and you can't concentrate at work. Your mind's all over the place. Your eyes are fluttering, and your heart is fluttering, and you can't focus because you're captivated. So you're feeling symptoms. These are some of the symptoms of perversion, perverted symptoms of ecstasy or bhava bhakti in this material world. So when that's, let's say, connected to Krishna, then real ecstatic symptoms may start to develop. But that starts to really develop at the stage when Ashakti, or the stage of complete attraction to Krishna, is manifest. It's not just a taste for a real taste for the service, an unflinching or uninterrupted taste, a permanent taste. No, it goes beyond that. It's an ecstatic symptoms in relationship with Krishna. One hasn't actually met Krishna per se. It's the precursor or the pre-runner, like dawn. You haven't seen the sun, but you're seeing the symptoms of the sun in terms of the darkness has been dissipated and there's light in the sky. Sun has not yet risen, but you're feeling the symptoms. The ecstatic symptoms are manifested. So that's the second stage of devotional service. Prema Bhakti, there we go. Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga Rai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Kanaya Ki Jai. So that's the second stage of like the dawn. Vaidhi Bhakti is like darkness. Even before the kind of dawn, there's some approaches coming there, and Raganuga Bhakti is a spontaneous attraction towards, you could say, the light in one way or another. And then Bhava Bhakti is when the dawn is there, and then Prema Bhakti is when the sun rises and you can see everything clearly, one's relation with Krishna. So it's all discussed in the first division of the Nectar devotion. Second division deals with Bhava Bhakti. The third and fourth divisions deal with Prema Bhakti, both compatible and incompatible. So it's worth looking at. It's good to know what our goal is. It's good to know what the practice is, what the science is, and if we follow the science properly, then one can progress through the various stages of devotional service. Problem is we mix it, don't we? So you give a formula how to cook. Many of the ladies and the men also expert cooks. But there's a recipe, and it looks the same. I'll put salt in instead of sugar. They look the same. Will you get the same cake? They'll probably throw the cake in your face. You put salt in the sweet rice instead of sugar, they're the same. What's the difference? It looks the same. I don't need to follow your recipe. I make my own recipe. I like salt. That's not bhakti. That's not the process. That's not the science of bhakti that will keep us in the material world when we follow our own formulas, our own interpretation. The doctor gives you medicine. And who's a doctor here? We have a physiotherapist here. Anyone a doctor? No? No doctors? Nurses? Well, you know, doctor, you are the doctor. We have plenty of them here. A lot of sickness. Loads of pharmacists, loads of doctors, loads of hospitals. You have two medical centres just across the road practically. Big, huge ones. They're not just little ones. So they give you a medicine, prescribe, they give you a prescription, right? You take 3 tablets, 3 times a day, one each time, that is. 1 tablet, 3 times a day with meals. And you think, well, what a waste of time. Let me take the whole bottle all at once, then I'll get well immediately. I don't need to waste my time like this. Will it work? You'll probably be in the hospital over the road there, right? But I took the medicine. You gave me the medicine, and now I'm sick. You caused my sickness. But you have to follow the prescription, right? Follow the prescription, then you have a better chance of getting. It's not guaranteed, but there's a better chance you'll get cured. Nothing's guaranteed in this world. There are other factors involved. So similarly in devotional service, we follow the prescription. Nectar devotion is general. Rupa Goswami says one thing. He gives general principles. And therein is another problem. We use one general principle and make it an absolute principle in all time and circumstance. It may not be. There are many examples of that. But in the Nectar devotion it says, bum, 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 bum. But as Rupa Goswami describes, these are general principles. But to understand the specifics and the application of these principles, one must consult a spiritual master to know how to apply them. Otherwise, Prabhupada gives the example of, let's say, it's not exactly, but it's similar. He gave an example of a veterinary doctor. Anyone here a vet? Some of our devotees are vets, aren't they? You know, veterinary doctor? Vets. So a vet, he had an apprentice, a young man who was learning from him. So early lesson, they came across a horse that had swallowed a melon or something, stuck in its throat, gasping for breath. So the doctor took a hammer, tap, 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 pop, and the melon flew out of the horse's mouth, or maybe it was a lemon. Melon's a bit big, isn't it? Especially the watermelon, that would be a big horse. That would be Keshi demon. So that's a nice pastime. So the lemon popped out of its mouth, and the horse recovered. So the vet thinks, this is really easy. Anyone could do that. A guy could do that. I don't need to have a teacher for that one. Simple. So on his own, he was walking later on. He came across a man. They call it goiter in English. It's like a big lump in his throat. He's not very well. So he said, I can cure your problem very easily. Just sit still, close your eyes. Sit still. He took his hammer, bang, bang, bang. The goiter burst and the guy died on the spot. Imitations. Application. Looks the same, but it's not. Time, place and circumstance. Got to know how to apply the science. So Nectar devotion gives some indication there. But for that, Rupa Goswami says you have to approach a spiritual master to inquire, because each spiritual master may give different application according to time. Even a doctor, according to your condition, will give different application. You may have the same disease, but he'll give you a slightly different prescription because you're in a different condition. You're a masseur. You first thing you've got to do is look at the condition of the patient, isn't it? Most of those who give massage, they don't have a clue of the position of the patient. They just use the same technique on anybody and everybody. And what works on one does not work on another. One person's constitution is very different to another. And, a heavy massage on a vata, for instance, can break their body to bits, practically speaking. They can't walk for 3 days. They gave you a good massage and you can't walk for 3 days. I remember one devotee did that to me once, a young devotee there. They were very proud of their expertise in massage. It took me nearly a week to recover from the massage. It was torture, absolute torture for a week. That's what put me off massage, I think, most of my life. He didn't have a clue what he was doing. He was like he was massaging an elephant or something. Boom, 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 boom. Hammering away as if I was a cuffer or something. Cuffers are so thick-skinned that you've got to hit them with a hammer before they feel it, practically, to get through to the points there. And you'll know the patient. That's the details, which which type of service, which degree, which quantity, and so on. It's a delicate issue, isn't it? And it's found out by trial and error in most cases, by the way. isn't it? It's so, especially in this age where things are so complicated and people are so messed up. You can't work out what really is. 1 minute they say one, they change their mind 1 minute later. Right? I want to do this. No, I want to do that. No, I don't like that. Oh, I want to do this. And 5 minutes later, I don't like that. I want to do that. Constantly changing, no matter what you do. It's a complex age, driven by unnatural forces. Okay, it's getting late. We could have read a lot. I'll just read a little. I'll just read a little bit, just for the sake of reading something. Right from the beginning of Nectar Devotion. Let's see. If you have your books. Prabhupada starts off in the preface really just by describing a little bit about the history of Rupa Goswami and Lord Chaitanya's movement and what its purposes are. Another aspect of Nectar Devotion is universal, to emphasize that everyone is eligible to some degree. Anyone who knows the science of Krishna and is engaged in the service of the Lord is accepted as being in a higher position than a person born in the family of a Brahmana. That is the original principle accepted by all Vedic literature. The principle of Lord Chaitanya's movement in educating and elevating everyone to the exalted post of a Goswami is taught in the Nectar of Devotion. When we say Goswami, it doesn't mean somebody, a man, because ladies don't take sannyas. So a man with a stick in his hand. Swamiji. Now that's not what it means. Everyone's walking around with a stick in their hand. And no one's married. Everyone's going to become a Goswami. No, what does Goswami mean? That's the essential feature of Vaidhi Bhakti. What does it mean?
Master of the senses.
Master of the senses, controlled. And therefore women, men, everyone can be that real Goswami. You use your senses properly. Nectar Devotion, this Nectar of Instruction, takes that further and says, the goal is to take us to become pure devotees of the Lord, but first we have to become Goswami. Everyone must become a Goswami, controller of our senses. Lord Chaitanya, then he talks about their character and how they met Lord Chaitanya in Prayag, etc., etc. Lord Chaitanya met Rupa Goswami, instructed him in this science. Then Prabhupada describes this meaning of Bhakti, Rasa Amrita Sindhu, and how a serious student in Bhakti Ras can understand, upon studying the Nectar Devotion, can understand his eternal engagement in Bhakti. Not the temporary one, the eternal one. Our services now are not necessarily, they are, but they're not exactly our constitutional. We're just trying to situate ourselves in the constitutional position of the servant. Exactly the line of service, and in terms of constitutional, will be revealed in due course of time. It's not something you necessarily have to impose upon your lives. I want to be, if someone said to you, would you like to be a blade of grass? How many would put their hands up? Eternally. Now you have to sit there for eternity as a blade of grass. It doesn't sound very exciting, because our only experiences in the material world, a blade of grass is not a sort of, I can't wait to become a blade of grass. Maybe a Mayavadi would think like that, I don't know, but devotees, you rarely find at our stage, because we don't really know what our bhava is or our natural affection for Krishna is, wouldn't normally answer that. Would you like to be a monkey? Maybe somebody would like to be a monkey. No? I don't know. I think some of us are doing a pretty good job in that direction. What do you think, Raj? In the Philippines, do you think we have some good monkeys there? Hey? Maybe some good monkeys. Who would like to be a drop of water? A drop of water. Who would like to be a gulab? A gulab in the spiritual world. Don't know. You can't imagine what that would be like. It's inconceivable, isn't it? completely inconceivable how it all works, isn't it? It is inconceivable. Okay, who would like to be a gopa? A coward boy? Who would like to be a coward boy? Yeah, kind of. Huh? Yeah, spiritual world. Yeah. We don't really know what we would like, but at this moment you might think, yes. So what are you going to do about that? Who would like to be a gopi? Usually the ladies put their hands up more than the men. There's nothing to do with male or female, by the way. Absolutely nothing. You know, the most intimate gopis appeared as Lord Chaitanya's most confidential associates. Manjaris, gopis, they're all there. Vishaka, Lalita, they're all there in Lord Chaitanya's most intimate associates. They're in male forms. There's nothing to do with the form, it's the mood, the internal spiritual relationship. Externally, we get caught by the form sometimes, external form. Who would like to be a parent of Krishna? Parental love. Okay, we've only about half of you have answered, so the rest, I presume, are either in Dasya Bhav or Shantarasa. Dasya Rasa or Shanta. Who would like to be just a nice servant? Okay, some of you just like any service, whatever you want, type of thing. Okay, you both. So we want to be a gopa and a servant. There's a mixture between the two also. Who wants to be in Shantaras? Nobody? One. Why? Huh? Grass. He wants to be grass. Easy life. You don't have to worry much. You don't have to think much. You don't have to. Not much responsibility there, is there? Eh? Having been manager of the temple, you probably think, oh God, more problems, I have to call the cows in, they run away, I can't find the cows, they're giving me trouble, Mother Yasoda's getting on my case, I just be a blade of grass, nobody bothers me, But this is all dreaming, it's not reality, in one sense. It's but what do? You want to be a blade of grass, so you're going to come to Mangalarti tomorrow morning dressed like a blade of grass, stand there motionless on the ground all morning, going like this,
Alright. A question now. I just want to share something. When I was a young boy, schoolboy, we used to be in the Boy Scout group.
Join the club, I was too.
And my father and the scout teacher would say, go and do your odd job. Go and do odd jobs. Go and do odd jobs in the houses.
Odd jobs, yeah.
So when we go by houses and we ask any jobs to do.
Yeah.
So they ask you to wash the toilet, wash the drain,
yeah.
be there.
Yeah.
Is it not, can we do that in the spiritual world also, isn't it? Anything we can do it.
Yeah, well, nothing's impossible. Yeah. Nothing's impossible.
So Vinay's servant.
Yeah. There's everything's there in the spiritual world. So there's nothing's impossible. Every individual has a different nature and a particular relationship with Krishna. So some may be just serving. For instance, if you're in the mood of cowboy, there are many different types of cowboys. One may be in a position asking the cowboy, just tell me anything, whatever you want me to do in relationship to serving Krishna in this way. Anything. It might be cleaning the cow barns, it might be hooving the cows, it might be, dressing the cows, it might be cleaning up the dung, it could be anything. So it may not be only specific. So there'll be all kinds. Everything is possible. Different moods are there. Exactly. Anything else? So now, tomorrow morning, now you've all revealed your eternal constitutional positions. Those who see themselves as gopis, you have to come dressed as gopis tomorrow. The gopas, you have to come like coward boys with sticks and bugles and what have you, a blade of grass over here. And those who are the coward boys. What about cows? We didn't ask about who would like to be a cow in the spiritual world? Who would like to be a cow or a calf? Yes? Anyone like to be a cow, one of Krishna's favourite cows? Sounds fun to me. Because there's plenty of grass to eat. Nice to meditate on, but we can't imitate. There was a time, 1975, that some devotees in Los Angeles started what they Prabhupada termed the Gopi Bhava Club. And they were reading, in rather esoteric aspects of Prabhupada's books even, but which is fine in one sense, but trying to impose it in their lives. They were trying to practice what they interpreted as Raganuga Bhakti. And they were actually trying to, begin to behave like what they thought they would like to be in the spiritual world. One devotee had the idea of being a peacock. So he was actually trying to, imitate a peacock, dressing and so on and so forth. Just imitation. So they say. I wasn't there, so I don't know, but that's what we heard. It definitely happened. Prabhupada was absolutely horrified. So this is the greatest danger for our movement. This is called, what's it called? Sahajiyism. This cheap imitation of devotional service. It's not at all, according to Rupa Goswami's Nectar devotion. He said this is the biggest impediment, or the biggest obstacle we could face, is this sahajiya tendency. So be careful. Follow accordingly to the directives, the guidebook, and keep good association, and hopefully we'll be protected from that. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Okay, so it'll be a colourful Mangalarti tomorrow morning. Ramesh, what are you going to do? What's your position? We want to see you coming here and tomorrow morning at Mangalarti.
Very difficult to come in the morning, I think, tomorrow.
Huh?
No, it'll be difficult for me to come in the morning.
Why?
I'm working in the morning.
Working?
Yeah.
Really? No, Mangalarti, you don't work at 4:30. Mangalarti we're talking about. Oh. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.